exercise, and this will be followed by the next steps.
It gives me much pleasure to be here this morning. I'd like to, of course, welcome everybody who's here, the key stakeholders, the NGOs, the civil society groups, government officials. I'm delighted to be here, as I said, to open Fiji's first national stakeholder workshop on low emissions development strategy, or LEDS. Fiji's LEDS is a country-driven and economy-wide development strategy that promotes economic growth and long-term decarbonization. Please also, before I get into the substance of it, allow me to thank GGGI, if I can call it triple GI. I always find it easier because once you start after the second G, you kind of forget how many G's you said. So triple GI and the members of the steering committee, together with the Climate Change Division of the Ministry of Economy, for organizing this inaugural workshop. On behalf of the Fijian government, I also like to take this opportunity to thank all of you for your attendance and participation in this important event, an event that is timely as Fiji is currently in the midst of leading the world through the preparatory stage for the Tylenol dialogue. We here in Fiji are no strangers to this type of discourse, and I strongly believe that it will help lead more to open and constructive progress that will promote our mission to curb the impacts of a changing climate. Indeed, the conversations held here today will enable us to answer the three critical and thought-provoking questions the dialogue is centered around. Where are we now? Where do we want to go? And most critically, how do we get there? By doing so, we'll be guided towards the implementation and development of more ambitious, more enhanced, and more inclusive nationally determined contributions. Having submitted our INDC in 2015, which was confirmed as the NDC upon ratification of the Paris Agreement in 2016, the Fijian government developed and launched our NDC roadmap, focusing specifically on emissions reductions in the energy sector. The Climate Change Division is now embarking on the preparation of a LEDS for Fiji with technical assistance from Triple GI. The development of Fiji's LEDS will support Fiji's presidency leading into COP24 and will further exemplify Fiji's commitment to the Paris Agreement. Fiji's LEDS will complement many of the activities and initiatives in support of the Paris Agreement, including our NDC roadmap, climate vulnerability assessment, the launch of Fiji's sovereign bonds, our ambitious renewable energies projects, and the exploration of improving insurance options for natural disasters caused by climate change, amongst numerous others. As you know, that as an aside, insurance is critically important. You've seen recently through Cyclone Winston and also the Cyclone Josie and Kenny, how government has actually had to fork out an initiative. For example, with Care Fiji, we also had the Help for Homes initiative in Cyclone Winston. And these are unbudgeted expenses, but nonetheless, the fact of the matter is, because of the devastation and the impact of these climatic events, and these are one-off events, we actually have to come and help our citizens. And the reality is that many of them cannot get access to insurance. And the reality is that it's not just a question of affordability, but there are no such products available. So currently we are working with World Bank and ADB in developing products that will make insurance an accessible product for these individuals, which will give them some level of comfort. And also at the same time, government will not necessarily have to fork out large sums of money in the event of such events. Comprehensive long-term strategies like this LEDS are critical to align short-term planning with our extended vision for a more sustainable and climate-resilient future. Long-term strategies allow us to set pathways which inform our planning and investments aimed at mitigating against and adapting to climate change. They set a baseline for progress and enhance our targets under Fiji's NDC to reduce carbon dioxide emissions to 2030 and beyond. This also serves an economic benefit, helping governments save costs by avoiding investments that are inconsistent with achieving a low carbon and sustainable economy. And critically, our leadership in the public sector also sends the right signals to the private sector, enhancing opportunities for innovation and allowing institutions to reap the benefits of early action. The rise in greenhouse emissions, gas emissions caused by human activity, is accelerating climate change, posing an existential threat to our livelihoods and economy as a whole. We in Fiji are no stranger to the wide-ranging economic devastation brought on by cyclones and floods, as recently shown. And today, these impacts are starting to be felt far and wide around the world. In light of this, countries have signed on to the Paris Agreement, recognizing that greenhouse emissions need to peak and rapidly decline to achieve net, our target of zero emissions after 2050. The agreement calls this out explicitly in Article 4, paragraph 19, where it states that, and I quote, all parties should strive to formulate and communicate long-term low greenhouse gas emission development strategies, unquote. This builds upon the 2009 Copenhagen Accord, which makes it clear that a low emission development strategy is indispensable for sustainable development. At the core of every viable long-term strategy is the setting of ambitious targets for deep CNG emission reductions by 2050. Once this initial target is set, concerted efforts can be made to ensure that all key players align their plans and activities to meet their national goal. Therefore, the essence of this long-term planning is to clearly state the vision for achieving low carbon and climate resilient development by 2050. As such, we must involve every sector of our economy and every level of government in meeting our commitments and achieving this goal under the Paris Agreement. The LEDS is a critical stepping stone towards this climate goal. This is essentially important if we are to achieve the core objectives of the Paris Agreement, which is to limit global temperature increase to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, and to keep it well below 2 degrees Celsius, a goal that is absolutely necessary to securing a habitable planet for future generations. Ladies and gentlemen, the articulation of Fiji's LEDS document will be a powerful tool that we can use to support and enhance our sustainable development goals and policies, to plan for greener and more resilient development, and for complementing the objectives of our Green Growth Framework, the National Development Plan. Moreover, the LED aims to align with plans and budgets to drive Fiji's economy forward in a more responsible and sustainable manner and way. Developing a LEDS for Fiji will set an example to the Pacific as a whole, as it will be the first LEDS for a Pacific small island developing state. Moreover, Fiji's LEDS will support our outgoing COP23 presidency and will further exemplify Fiji's commitment to the Paris Agreement. It will add to an already impressive list of achievements, from the Talon Dialogue to the Oceans Pathway, showcasing Fiji's continued pioneering leadership during a key point in our presidency. We hope that all of Fiji's commitments and initiatives set a model for other nations to follow and inspire action where it is needed most. Today's workshop and the conversations that take place within will formally launch healthy and constructive deliberations on Fiji's long-term vision for low emission development to 2050. By guiding our progress, the open and constructive participation that will take place here, and I would like you to please be very open and very constructive about it, throughout the day, will play a key role in our success. I urge each of you to take this not only as a responsibility, but as an opportunity to lead Fiji and the world a step forward. With those few words, ladies and gentlemen, I wish you all the best in your deliberations, and I wish you a very good day. And Vinaka Baklewa, thank you for your participation. Thank you.
All right. Then we'll look at this camera. 2, 3, 2, 3. And again.